Hey guys, welcome to another Getting In on the Ground Floor lesson for absolute beginners. This whole channel is devised to take beginner guitarists from the very first time they pick up the guitar through many years of lessons and expertise. What I want to do though right now is point you back by taking out extracts from old lessons. I don't want to give you the entire lesson, all the background necessary, all the discussion of different aspects of guitar that could be incorporated into a single lesson, and just take one idea. Today I want to do that with the low A string, learning the notes on there and how to read them. Most of our note reading is initiated on the high E string. It makes a lot of sense to play up there. You've got a lot of separation from the other strings. But sometimes I like to start students on this fifth string because logically it's kind of cool to start on the A, play A, B, and C. But as I said, I want you to always be looking back to the initial lessons, either in starting on guitar or beginner guitar course. And so to do that, like and subscribe. Do me a favor and help out the channel a little bit while you're at it that way. To cover the quick background review here, you have to know the names of your strings, or at least the one we're playing on today. If you don't know that this is Eddie 8 Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie, I'm telling you now, use that phrase, Eddie 8 Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie, to learn those string names. That would be E, A, D, G, B, and E. Try to memorize those. Listen to the fact they're going from low, E, A, D, G, B, E, to high. Music only makes sense if you realize that we're playing notes alphabetically. A is a low note, B is the higher note, C is higher than that, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Those notes are ascending. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. When you get to G, you start again. So if I'm playing on an A string and D is higher, then I must have between the A and the D a B and a C. A, B, C. A is played open, no fingers. B is on the same A string, second fret, A to B, and C is next. Third fret, A, B, C. We could continue to find a D at the fifth fret, A, B, C. But we know we have a D string, so we can go A, open fifth string, B, second fret on the fifth string, C, third fret on the fifth string, open D, fourth string. A is open, that means no fingers, you're hearing the whole string. B is second fret, C is third, right beside it. One thing I'd like to touch on today, and I might as well do so now, is to dispel you of that notion that some people will say to me when we're trying to learn some facts, and they say, oh, I need to know everything about this. I need to fully understand. I can only really know it when I understand it. Now, of course, in an ultimate sense, overall, in the great grand scheme of things, absolutely, you need to understand what you're doing in order to apply your knowledge and to really fully be able to say you know it. However, people are wrong. You don't need to understand everything to get started. In fact, you need a few data points. You need to accept things just on face value. People always say, I need to prove it to myself. I have to discover it myself, and that's just not true. 99% of what we know on testimony, and we accept testimony. We take it as true until we find that there's a good reason not to. So, let me tell you, if you pluck the fifth string, that's the fifth from the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an A note. If you press it on the second fret, that's a B note. A is open, B is second fret, C is right beside it. Third fret. The wise among you might notice, hey, I went 2 frets from A to B, and only 1 fret from B to C. Now you might be curious about that. Good, log that curiosity. I'm not going to explain it today. Sometimes notes are 2 frets apart, sometimes they're only 1 fret apart. So A is open fifth, B alphabetically is next at the second fret, C is the next. We've tuned the next string to D, the next note. So we have A, B, C, D. You can learn your notes, and you should, by learning that the notes on the lines of a staff are E, G, B, D, and F, ascending from the low line on the staff up. Every good boy deserves fudge. You've heard that before. In the spaces, you have the letters F, A, C, E. Rhyming with the word space is the word face. You can spell face by putting the notes in the spaces. Really what this has done is given you the notes alphabetically. E is on this low line. If you go into the space above it, you get F. The line above it is G. E, F, G. That's the end of this alphabet segment. On the next space, A. On the next line, B. A, B, C on the space, D on the line, E on the space, F on the line. So you're just climbing up a ladder. Space line, space line, space line, all the way up. You start on E on the bottom line as a starting point for right now in this discussion. E, up to the space is F, up to the line is G, up to the space is A, up to the line is B. Again, check out my other videos to get further explanation on this. I don't want to go further than that. I just want you to know that's a resource. Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge tells you the notes on the lines of a staff, a treble clef staff. Face tells you the notes in the spaces. The treble clef staff is not to be confused with the 6 lines of your guitar. These are your strings. There is no physical correlation between what you see here and what you see here. None of these is a string. None of these tells you a fret. Your brain does not believe me. When you learn these, you are going to equate some of these to strings and frets, and you'll have to unlearn that over and over again. Don't be surprised. I just need to tell you that over and over. This is not one of these strings, this E note. In fact, it's found somewhere else. So that's what you need to know right now, is that notes on the strings have names. When we press on the strings, we change their names. Down here now, I am going to give you another brute fact. Under the staff, 2 ledger lines down, is the note A. That A note we want to memorize today. It's down here, we have 2 lines under the staff, the note on it is A, and it's this open string. So when you see that A, play your open 5th string. This guy's a little bit higher than A. It's no longer on that 2nd line, it's underneath the 1st line. A little bit higher than A is B, and B is on the 2nd fret. So we'll play A, and then B. A little bit higher than B is this C on the next line. 2 lines below the staff is A. A little bit higher under a line is B. A little bit higher on a line is C. And C is the 3rd fret. So we have A, 2nd fret B, 3rd fret C. Then this note is higher than C. A, B, C, D. Therefore it must be a D. A is on the 2nd ledger line. B is a little bit higher. The 2nd ledger line disappeared and it's under the 1st ledger line. C is a little bit higher. It's on that ledger line. D is a little bit higher. The ledger lines are gone. It's just hanging under the staff. A is open. B is 2nd fret. C is 3rd. And D is the open 4th string. You can hear yourself climbing up here. 4 notes. A, B, C, D. We're going alphabetically. A, B, C, D. We're going up the staff. Here we are on 2 ledger lines. Here we are with 1 ledger line, but it's under it. Here it has raised up onto that ledger line. Here it's raised up above the lines, so those lines are gone, and it's under the staff. A, B, C, D. This is higher than D. D's under the staff, this one's on the line. Must be E, A, B, C, D, E. Why, sure it is. It's that E we were talking about in Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge. It's the note that comes after D, of course, in the alphabet. So we've played A, B, C, D, E. Open A, 2nd fret B, 3rd fret C. Switch strings, open D, and a little bit higher than D is E in the 2nd fret. Now we have 5 notes. A, B, C, switch strings, D, E. A, B, C, D, E. Let's try that out. A, B, C, open 4th string D, E. Played 3 times. So practice that. A, B, C, D, E, E. Open 5th string, 2nd fret B, 3rd fret C, open 4th string D, 2nd fret on the 4th string, E, E, E. At this point, I'd like to tell you what we're playing. We're playing a pared down version of Joshua Fought the Battle of Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. Notice I'm not telling you anything about this 4/4, this squiggly treble clef, these lines, whether a note is colored in or not. You don't have to learn everything right at once. In fact, what you want to do is just learn something you can do and a few ideas that we've related, and then later on you flesh out why certain things show up and why there are differences. Right now, all we care about is the ascent of these notes. A, B, C, D, E played 3 times. Whether it's colored in or not, it's located in the same place. It's grabbing that first line, so those are all E's, all on the 2nd fret. Now we've returned under the staff. We said that was a D, and that's open 4th string. Play it 3 times. And then this E and this E are the same, so play E again 3 times. That's your 2nd fret note. That entire line again. A, B, C, D. 3 E's. 3 D's. And 3 E's. Joshua, that's this A. Fought the, that's the B. Battle, C. Joshua is the A. Fought the is B. Battle is C. Of is D. Jericho, the 3 E's. Jericho, 3 D's. Jericho, 3 E's. This is from Hal Leonard's book, page 23. And notice, obviously, I'm playing one note where I'm singing two. Joshua fought the battle. So they've simplified. If you want to hit that note twice for Joshua, Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, you can, but they've only shown one, so right now I'm only asking that you play one. A, B, C, D, E. Lower is D. Back up is E. We finished this line now. Let's go to this one. That's our low note again. The lowest one we know so far. It's on the second ledger line. It's the A again. A, up to B, up to C, up to D. Well, it's the same bar. A, B, C, D. I got my 3 E's again. Oh, but now I've got something else. After the E's, I'm not going to pause here on Jericho. I have to do this note. What did we say that was? A, B, C. C has the ledger line. So memorize that. C is this ledger line note. E, 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 C. That would be the second fret note. E, 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 C. Second fret, 4th string. Third fret, 5th string. E, 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 C. You better practice that. E, 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 C. Maybe even mark it. E to C. E, 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 C. Okay, I've got it. Let's try that part again. A, B, C, D. E, 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 C. Let's do it again. Open, second, 3rd fret. Open, second. Back down to 3rd fret. E, 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 C. So this C is the first note that's not climbing up the scale alphabetically. A, B, C, D, E. Back down to D. Luckily, we were practicing E's and C's. E, 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 C, E, 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 C. That means we're already good at getting back to E. So go 3 E's, a C, and an E. E, 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 C, E. Okay, a little lower than E. A little lower than E is the D again. Okay, that's the open 4th string. A little lower than D is, well, that's C. We've been talking about it a lot. A little lower than C is B. And there's our A again, down on the second ledger line. Oh, here you can see if we went backwards, A, B, C, D, E. So that thing we've been doing, A, B, C, D, E, we're just reversing here. E, D, C, B, A. There's another thing you can practice then. A, Go backwards. E, D, C, B, A. I'm saying it and saying it and saying it. That's for your benefit, but it's also an example. Do that yourself. Memorize everything you're doing. A, B, C, D, E. E, D, C, B, A. If we do that now, A, B, C, D, E, we can hit E 3 times, hit the C just stuck in the middle of that, and then do the scale back down. So scale up, A, B, C, D, 3 E's, hit the C, hit the E again, and come down the scale. E, D, C, B, A. I wrote them in a little bit as a reference to you. I'd say don't write them in. Maybe a highlight or two. Tell yourself this is A to get you started. There's your highest E. Maybe tell yourself you're going to do E's to C's. Otherwise, our goal here is to actually learn how to read these notes. I'm not learning 1 or 2, we're learning 4 right off the bat. But we're learning them in the context of a song, in the context of memorizing your fingering, in the context of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, in the context of looking at them on your guitar. So you want to apply all of these things together, use them all to reinforce each other. Here's your entire song, again, really slow. A, B, C, D, 2nd fret E. After a little pause, the open D. After a little pause, the E again. Next line, we're doing the same thing. But there is no pause after the E. Instead, we drop and hit the C, jump back to the E, and come down D, C, B, A. Again, lyrically, I'll say them as I go slowly. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. There's your pause. Jericho. Your pause on D. Jericho, your pause on E. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. So some of these notes would have 2 words associated. If you want to play them, go ahead. If you heard this and you want to put it into the beats you're singing, you could go, Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came a-tumbling down. However, these are just notes to the song. This is just a semblance of it. We want to hear ourselves going up and down through a familiar pattern, which happens to be Joshua, and you can do it with single notes, or you can double them up so you sound like you're singing it. Those are all the ideas I would like you to know. The brute facts that you need to know are where are the A, B, C, D, and E. Just straight, flat out memorize that if it doesn't make logical sense. Try to make it make logical sense, though, that you're going from A to B to C to D to E. You're going up alphabetically. This A is lower than the B, which is lower than the C, which when we switch strings is lower than the open D, which goes higher by fretting E. As you fret a string, you make it sound higher. As you go from one string to the next, you go higher. This reference could help you, although it's not necessary right now. Lines, every good boy deserves fudge. Spaces, face, F-A-C-E. These are technically alphabetical. E, F is next, E, F, G. Then we go to A, B, C, D, E, F. G if we wanted. A, B, C. We could keep going above the staff. In fact, we could continue above or below. Today we decided to go below. Brute fact number 2, A is the note we're starting on. If you put 2 ledger lines under the staff and put a note on the line, that's your A. Do not look at that and say, oh yeah, I guess that line might represent the 5th string, and that A might represent open. No, there's nothing here that visually represents a string or an open note or a fretted note. This just tells you that A is lower than B, which is lower than C, which is lower than D. Any instrument can play these, A to B to C to D. We find them on guitar by playing strings which are open or fretted. But this does not tell you anything about whether it's a string or it's open or fretted. That's just not part of this system. These are codes. This is like a treasure map. You learn how to recognize the letter A. You've also memorized where A is on guitar. When this says play the letter A, you do that on your guitar. If you're on a different instrument, you play it totally differently. So guys, I wanted to keep this super short, but you can see some of that background information that's necessary really fills it up. I'd like you to try to cut to the chase in this and skim over what I've said and just get to playing it and saying the notes, recognizing which ledger lines you're on, but mostly recognizing you're going up the alphabet. For more information, get into the playlist, get back at the very beginning, Guitar Lesson 1, Guitar Lesson 2. This is probably about Guitar Lesson 6, where we're learning how to recognize every good boy deserves fudge and face, but this little ground floor exercise will get you started. Take her easy, guys. I'll talk to you later.